Welcome everybody who's joined. We have a kind of an interesting subject we're going to talk about tonight. We are here with Lorcan O'Donaile. He's a podiatrist who is kind of um, a founder of many things. He's podiatry patients on tap, more practice profits. I listen to his podcast, the Podiatry Business Podcast, and has a book that I've read, Podiatry Patients on Tap. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about AI receptionists and AI chatbot and some of the other things in the future coming up with AI and how we're going to incorporate them into our practice. I actually just wanted to share with you guys a little story. How I met Lorcan was I had a employee who actually was quitting. She was giving us a couple month notice because she was nice, but I didn't really want to hire somebody again at that price point. We were paying probably $1,800 every 2 weeks for somebody who really answered phones and maybe did some moderate billing stuff. So I had listened to one of Lorcan's podcasts about AI receptionist, and I thought, I'm going to talk to this guy. Like, let's see what this is all about. And I really love the idea of, my office closes at 1:30 on Fridays. And I love the idea that that phone, because that's from 1:30 to 4 or 5 on a Friday, the phones are still ringing like crazy. So, but now, we have somebody who's answering phones all the time, which I love, even during the weekends, after hours. And she's very efficient at being able to transfer to wherever it needs to go as well. So we've been very happy with it. But just this is a great learning experience to see more about AI voice and chatbot.
Okay, cool. Okay, so hi guys, and if you're watching this later, hi guys. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, as Michelle said. So I am a podiatrist. I live in Ireland, and my wife says I'm a good bullshitter. Um, so I started a clinic because I wanted to work for myself. Here in Ireland, it is all kind of cash pay um, um, clinic, just like you guys are trying to build, and I thought that I just needed to be good clinically to do well, and I got good clinically, but I still couldn't make enough money to make it worth my while. So I realized when things went really badly that I need to do something about this. So I actually decided to spend some time on CPD of business, and I got good at running a business and got good at doing the marketing. I really enjoyed the marketing. And from that, I eventually ended up a position where I was helping other clinic owners, and I was implementing their marketing because they were so bad at it. So I still own a clinic. I saw patients this morning. I kind of just treat patients when I'm needed. I'm the locum in the clinic. And I also run a marketing agency for podiatrists. So that's me. So what I see with a lot of clinic owners is they spend a lot of time and effort on making the phone ring, because that's what you're there for. You want to make the phone ring, you want to get patients in. And when you make the phone ring, the receptionist is, maybe they're on the toilet. That happened to me very recently. I rang 5 or 6 times in 10 minutes. No one answered the phone. She said she was on the toilet for 10 minutes. Or they're on lunch, or they just don't bother answering the phone for whatever reason. Or maybe that person is ringing out of hours because, we're only there a certain number of hours every day. And all you really want is you want to make sure that you're not missing any potential patients that are ringing because you've worked really hard for really long to get that to happen. So that's what we're talking about here. And typically the mistakes I see that clinic owners are making, podiatry owners are making, is, and it's the same that they're doing with their marketing generally, okay, is that they're getting their nephew or their husband to do it for them. And it's like our patients, get our nephew or someone to do it for them. It's not really going to be as good as it could be, treat their feet. Or maybe what they're doing is they're abdicating the strategy. This is probably one of the biggest things, is they're not in charge of controlling the strategy. Don't trust any marketing agency, anyone else, to be in charge of the strategy of running your business or your marketing, because they don't really understand podiatry the way us guys do. Okay? So, my journey with AI is probably going back to when ChatGPT first came out, which is 3 years ago. We've been using AI SMS almost from day one, but AI voice was this year because AI voice was not good enough. So this is late 2025, and we run marketing for clients, and I had a particular client in the US, and we were running Google Ads to make the phone ring. And what was happening is we made that client's phone ring 300 times that month, which was phenomenal, I thought. But he only answered the phone 45% of the time. And when he did answer the phone, his receptionist was really rude, because we could hear the recordings through the way we set up Google. So he was spending all this money, and he just wasn't getting the results. So I wanted to kind of say, okay, we've got to do something about this. How can I make sure my clients cannot fail? Make the phone ring, answer the phone, book the patients in. Surely that's not that hard. So the problem was that they weren't doing this. And quite recently, I had to try and book into a hotel. My niece is getting married next year. I've got 4 kids. We need 2 rooms. We're going for 2 nights. I was trying to give the hotel $1,000 or €1,000, and I couldn't get anyone to answer the phone. And I must have rang all day. So eventually, we just booked another hotel. So this is why this is important. And my ideal scenario for the clinic and for my clients was that I wanted to have their marketing efforts. Okay, let me just do this now. So I wanted their marketing efforts, which they're paying me for, to go into their follow-up system. Okay. And we want to make sure that we're not missing anything, or we want to make that phone ring. And in all cases, what we want is we want AI bots or AI phone to pick up that person who's trying to stay in contact with us and eventually get them to book in to our calendar. That's the outcome I wanted. And I had all of this sorted already, this section. And I said to my clinical or my tech team, I want to get the phone. We need to do something about the phone. How are we going to fix this? So that's what I'm going to show you tonight. I'm going to show you how we did it, what software we used, what mistakes we found, and so forth, and we'll go from there. And don't be afraid to interrupt me at any point with a question. Okay, but before we do that, what I want to talk about is agentic AI. So agentic AI essentially is when you build an AI agent. Now, Michelle doesn't even know I'm going to do this. So agentic AI or agents is software that plans and takes action to reach a goal that you set. And what it does is it breaks down those tasks in step by step and decides what to do, and it works on its own once you set it up. And I'm going to show you an example that's working at the moment. So the main way that this is useful is to automate tasks that you have to do repeatedly. So we have just implemented this in our clients. Michelle, I'm not sure is it in yours yet, but if it's not, it will be. It should be this week. So what we do is part of the service we do is we do SEO and we do blogs. So we want to write a blog and we want to send out that blog, publish the blog about what you're trying to attract. If you're trying to attract orthotics in your town, we want to make sure that the blog is about that. Now, if you're a patient in your town and let's say 6 months ago, a year ago, you would go to Google and you type in and you'd look through the search results and you try to find your answer. And you can jump to the top of the queue with paid ads. And that has completely changed in the last probably 3 months to the point now where people are doing 2 things. One is they're going to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is giving them the answer, because then you don't have to search through Google to find the answer. It just gives you the answer straight away. So there's a significant number of your clients are now scraping and going to ChatGPT for looking for the solution. And if your website, your blogs, your SEO is not showing or built that is in a way that's AI friendly, you are in trouble. And the majority of people are not doing that. Second thing is, if you look at Google, it now gives you AI at the top. So Google gives you free results and it doesn't try and push paid results. And there's a huge change going on. It's quite likely that ChatGPT will have sponsor paid ads within months. Even today, when I was on it, it was offering to help me with my Christmas shopping. So what we need is to make sure for our clients is that we get them at the top of AI search results. And how you do this is you need to write a blog in a way that answers the question that people are asking and is built in a way that will crawl it for AI. And we needed to do it fast, and we needed to do a huge number of these. Now, what we weren't going to do is go and have our VA, typically, which she would do, find out, get the blog done and publish it once a day, etc. Because we have too many clients and we want to do this every single day. So I wanted to automate it. So my ideal scenario for my clients is that we would write a blog every single day, and we would write it in a way that was AI friendly. So when AI was searching, they picked us over their competitors. We did it every single day because we needed to do a huge number to show that we are the authority in our town. And then we wanted to make sure that that was reposted on all of our social media for our clients, so it's everywhere. And we then wanted to make sure that once a week, we then write an email in the voice of our client and we send that out to their database, all automated, all AI, because we have too many clinics to do it all out of too many staff. So we did that, and we've have that solution. I'm going to show you that now. So this is Agentic AI, and this is an example. So this is obviously our website. If people want to have a look at this later on, they can talk to the AI and they can test it. It's podiatryvoicereceptionist.com. So there's a number of different softwares you can use to do Agentic AI. So one of them, for example, is make.com. You can also use Zapier. I'm going to show you that later. ChatGPT of their own version is not great at the moment, but we use one called N8N. Okay, so this is a sample. This is their homepage, but here's a sample here of what an agent looks like. So you can see the agent here. So essentially what it is it's a I'm trying to think of a non-technical way of saying it. It's a software in the middle, and it's connected to all these different other softwares that you're able to train it, and it can link them all together and get it to work. So here is my website. So I have a physio website, and I've just opened it recently, and I want to make sure that we beat our competitors. Here's my website, and you can see that we're publishing blogs every single day. So this is the inside of the agent that we have built to do the blog every single day. So while I'm talking, I'm going to actually get it to work right now. So if we go back to the website, you can see the last one is flat feet with sitting signs, etc. So what we've done is we have set this up, and it has a Google spreadsheet here, and it has all the titles that we want to write about to attract the kind of clients that we want and show AI. So we might pick top 10 conditions that we want to dominate in our town. And then what's happening is it uses the ChatGPT that we have built for this particular client, in this case is my clinic, to write that blog, and it's writing it in the way I want. It's then making sure that it's done in a way that is SEO friendly, adding the meta tag, all this kind of stuff that honestly I don't really understand. Then generating an image. Okay, now the images at the moment that it auto generates, the AI generates, are not great. So we've come up with a solution. We're going to redo that next week, etc., etc. And what it will do then is it will publish that for me, and then it will auto republish in all of our social, and then it will update this one here, this Google Sheet at the end, and that Google Sheet then is read by our other one, which will write the email once a week for our clients. And then what will happen is it will update that for us. So in time, what will happen is, I'll come back and I'll show you the blog now in a second when it's done. In time, what's going to happen is you're going to be using Agentic AI for multiple purposes in your business to run things that you do now automatically. So it could, for example, be that you're going to do one to run and check your insurance. So every time you get an insurance that you just type it into a chat GPT and it runs the whole thing, or into a chat form and it'll run the whole thing, get on to the insurance companies, etc., etc. You might do one for stock and so on and so forth. So in time, you will use it to run your business. An example might be that you will have it run your P&L every single month automatically, and you'll be able to either ring it or talk or text it and ask what's happened with my P&L. It'll tell you what's happened, and then it might suggest to you improvements to make on your business. and then it can enact them. So it might come back and say, I noticed that you don't have enough of these type of patients. Why don't we run an email campaign or set up a Facebook ad to do that? You can have it do so, and it will do it all automatically. That is the future, and that's where we're heading. Okay, so that's agentic AI. So if I show you, if I come back and I show you the blog, here you go. How we treat pinched nerves and spinal pain and melancholic. All done straight away. All I did was push a button. Now what we've done, obviously, is it's just automatic. Once it's set up, we don't have to do it. So that's agentic AI. So you're going to hear a lot about agentic AI, I reckon, in the next 6 to 12 months. And you're going to go, what's that mean? Well, now you know. Okay.
Yeah. Lorcan, I was going to say, yeah, you guys started it for us, because I'm like going through just my Facebook and I can see all the different.
Yeah, no, the images are not great. I'm not happy.
I was like, what is this? But they're not that bad. They have
No, they're not good enough for me. So that's part of the limit of what AI is currently able to do. So we have a solution that we're about to enact in the next week or so.
Very cool.
But still, it's much better than me sitting down having to write any of this stuff. Okay, so let's get on with AI voice and text bots. So the goal, really, what you want to do when you're using your AI is to get leads, which are not patients yet, or patients that communicate with your practice. Okay, and you want to get and make sure that you have a way that you're always able to communicate and open to communicate with them, so that is then able to triage them and then book them in when necessary and appropriate, regardless of where you are or what you're doing or your team is doing. And the first time this happened to me, I set up the AI SMS bot. It's way back. And I set it up and my wife was shouting, your dinner's ready, your dinner's ready. So I went in and I had my dinner and I came back and a patient had a conversation and booked in, and I was so excited because it had happened while I was having dinner. That's what I need in the evening. So to do this, there's a few things you're going to need. So you're going to need a way to communicate with your lead stroke patient. So either phone, live chat, SMS bot. They're the main things I'm going to talk about. All right, because it's quick communication. You're going to need software that has AI capability so that it can communicate with them. You're going to need, I'm going to show you all these things in a second. You're going to need a prompt, and a prompt is the technical term you use for instructions that you give the AI. Okay, so if you don't want, for example, Medicaid patients, you need to tell AI that. Okay, and you need a RAG system or a knowledge base. There's a very slight difference, but basically what they are is there's a limit on how much you can use in a prompt in characters. So for example, the one we've done for Michelle has, I think it's an 8,000 character limit. Now that sounds like a lot, but Michelle has a lot that she needs to make sure we do. So some people need to see her in this place, some need to see her in that place, etc., etc. So what you find is you'll run out of space. So then you need a knowledge base. It's almost like it's your subconscious, okay? And that's called a knowledge base or a RAG system, and you have to go in and access that. You need a calendar that they can book into. And you're like, well, of course, Lorcan, but that's not as straightforward as you might think. And then you need the ability for your team to be able to check or review those conversations, because I think artificial intelligence is not a good name because it is not that intelligent. It is just software. So you need to make sure you're keeping an eye on it. And we've kind of found that a lot, especially in the early stages when we set up Michelle's one. So I'm going to show an example of what I mean. I'm going to start off with the live chat and the SMS. Okay, so don't be afraid to interrupt me at any point. So this is Michelle's website. So we have on Michelle's website, we have a live chat down here. So you guys can see that. I'm not going to do that now. The live chat in Michelle's is running through SMS. So when someone fills this in, it will text them back on their phone. Now that is the old style live chat. We have now changed that, okay, to our own one here, a new one, which Michelle doesn't have, but we'll be getting. And that's all within it. So if you want to see the new one, go to my own website, podiatryvoicereceptionist.com, and you can try it there. But this is Michelle's one. So the second one is we have forms here. So we have forms. Anytime we get any sort of lead from anywhere via Facebook, etc., what we do is we will then text them, SMS them, and we will then have that AI follow up with them. Now, why do we use SMS? We use SMS because SMS has a 95% open rate within 5 minutes. So your lead, your patient has read that text within 5 minutes. It's probably even higher. And we can fully automate that follow-up. So like me, you could be off having your dinner while this form has been filled in, their live chat's been filled in, and it's booking in a patient for you. So this is Michelle's. And with Michelle's, what we've done is we've used Zapier. So this is Zapier.com. Now this is the workflow looks really easy, but actually inside each one is some technical bits. So you can see here, we have a webhook that catches the data that's coming in from the other software, okay, and it then runs it through this system. And here's my prompt. Here's the prompt we're using, okay. And then what it will do is it will update, it will have the conversation, etc., and it will run it from that. So that's how it does that. So again, there's the other or the newer one if you want to try it. So let's have a look here. So this is my own clinic, and the blue here is my AI bot, and the grey is the patient. So this patient at 4:39 p.m. filled in and asked about, do you treat kids with flat feet? Of course we do, no problem. So we had a conversation with them, okay. She also asked about insurance. We answered a question about insurance, and then we triaged, have you been with us before, how long are you having problems, etc., etc. And then we recommended the right type of appointment, which we would call a biomechanical assessment, etc. And then that patient booked the appointment because they were given the link up here. And you can see she said, perfect, thank you, that's all I need, thanks. And that's 5 past 6 p.m. when the clinic is closed, the receptionist has gone home an hour and 5 minutes and has booked her appointment. So this is the power that you can have when you're using an AI bot. This is not voice, this is just simply a bot, but it's going to be the same kind of concept that we're using. So you plug it into your live chat. That's definitely a very simple thing to do. And then you can always have a contact us form on your website, and then they fill that form in, and the AI SMS will follow up with that, have a conversation, and instruct the patient to do whatever it is you think you need it to do, depending on every clinic. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. So let's talk now about AI voice, which is the sexy thing everybody likes talking about. So with AI voice, what we have is we basically have somebody who's on their phone and they ring your clinic. And what you want is you want to have the AI assistant, okay, AI voice. And that AI voice is using a knowledge base. Remember I talked about that earlier. And it's using a prompt to know what to say to the person on the phone. It's having that conversation in speech instead of text, as you just saw the text version a second ago. And then when appropriate, what it's going to do is it's going to be able to look at the calendar and see what's available and then book in. Now, that calendar should ideally, if possible, and we will talk about what I mean when I say this, be connected to your EHR, so whatever you happen to have. So I use Clinico, Michelle uses AdvancedMD, I know a lot of guys use ModMed. There's loads of different things out there. Sometimes what will happen is you'll just bypass it and go straight down to the EHR. And that is really the outcome that you would like it to have. And that's what is possible. And that's what I think you should be trying to do in your clinic. And you're doing that 24/7. You're never missing any phone calls. And you're able to answer multiple phone calls. I think the limit is up to 50 at the moment, but you can get more if needs be. But if you're getting more than 50 phone calls a day, or sorry, at the one time, you know, we have a good problem, haven't we? If your marketing is running correctly. So there are a few steps that you need to have. So number one, okay, you need to choose the software that you want to use. Okay? for your AI voice. 2, what you want to do is you want to write your prompt. And I'm going to go through all of this. 3, you need to build your knowledge base or your RAG system. And then 4, you need to connect your calendar so it can book in. Now, if you want to, you can have it transfer straight to a human. So if we look at all of those parts, so the first one is what software to use. Now, there's lots of different softwares out there that you can find that you can use for AI voice. They all pretty much run off something like ChatGPT or Claude or that kind of stuff, mostly ChatGPT. What's happened in a lot of cases, they just kind of white label an original thing that they have. So for example, High Level, we use High Level as part of our marketing, has white labeled vappy.com. So the 2 main ones I would recommend are, number 1, Vappy, okay, which is a good system to use. And then the other one is assistable.ai. Now we use assistable.ai over Vappy because it is better connected to the calendars for us, and we find it's a better system to work with. Now, but Vappy is excellent as well, both excellent. We just wanted something that was simple. I always try and find what's the simplest route to get to where you need to get to. And I might talk about MCP servers at the end. I'll just write that down there so I don't forget. Okay, so that's the softwares, okay, that you're using for the AI voice. Then you need to go and you need to write your prompt. So your prompt, like I said, is going to have a limit on how big you can make it. So this is the inside of Assistable that we have, and this is your own, Michelle. So this is, I'm not going to show you all because this is our intellectual property, but this is the start of the prompt, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of practice to get the prompt right. Now I see people out there, and what they're doing is they have this DIY AI voice, and what you do is you plug in your website and it scans your website and then it writes the prompt. I guarantee you that is not going to work because it takes so much effort to get this correct. It's like, essentially what you want to think about with your prompt is this is, you're getting a new staff member and you're going to train the staff member on what to do. Now if you imagine you got a new receptionist and you spent 5 minutes teaching her what to do and you never told her anything else ever again, she's going to do a pretty bad job. So but what you do is you teach her what to do, okay, and then you might come back an hour later and say, I forgot to tell you this, or she says the wrong thing on the phone and you hear her and you correct her. And it's the same thing with your prompt. So we have a lot of experience with doing this because we've been doing it for so long, and because I am a podiatrist, I understand what the answer should be. But even still, what we find is that each individual clinic has does things that's that little bit differently and needs things to be a little bit different. So for example, in Michelle's clinic, she double books patients. All right, Michelle? So Johnny couldn't get his head around, how am I supposed to tell the AI to do this? Because it's 40-minute consultations. So I said to Johnny, who's our tech guy, just make them 20-minute consults and just book them one after the other. It's all the same thing. The patient will wait. Because I knew that as a podiatrist, you can do that. Yeah. So your prompt is hugely important. And if you're using AI voice and it's not working well, it's because your prompt is not done properly or not done well. Because at the end of the day, it is just a machine. Your AI voice and your AI bot will only know what you have told it. So when we first started using this, Michelle's team would come to us and say, it didn't say, it said this question or said this answer, and da 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 da. And we were like, well, yeah, but you didn't tell it not to say that. You've got to actually tell it. And that's how you start to build it. So you got to test your prompt. Once you've got it done, you got to test your prompt over and over and over and over. Now, the issue with Michelle's clinic was her receptionist left, I think, a day, 48 hours notice. So we had to almost just launch and see how we get on. And Michelle was ideal client. She was like, I don't care, let's just do it. You then need to make sure you build your RAG systems, which is your knowledge center. So I'm going to show you the knowledge center. So here we have prompt, and here we have our knowledge center in the background. And what you have to do is kind of break it down depending on all of the questions that you have for each one. Toggle data. So you can see this is just the pricing. And if you try and stick all of this into a prompt, it's too much for people to try and for the AI to remember. So it's like it's memory bank. And if you try and give it too much to remember, it's not the important stuff. The important stuff to us is, are you in there? Is this the right place for you? Do we even accept your insurance? Okay. And these are the basic prices. If you're still interested, okay, now we're going to go look at our more subconscious stuff and then drag that in and so on. And that makes the prompt and it work better. It makes the AI work faster, and you don't get these lulls or it stops and it's not sure what to do or makes those mistakes. So that's your knowledge base. And then you have to connect it to your calendar. So you can connect it to, with most of these systems, they connect to Google Calendar or iCal really, really easily. Not hard at all. I mean, even I could set that up. The issue then is getting that to connect to your EHR. And to get it to connect to your EHR, you need to have what we call an API key. So an API key essentially is code that allows two pieces of totally different software to speak to each other. So it's like it allows Japanese to speak to English, and neither of them can speak the other language. So that has to be done securely and safely, and API key is what does that. So I'm going to show you guys a demo. I have a demo here of this. So I'm actually going to just unplug my headphones to make sure that this will be in a recording later, Michelle, but this is your clinic. Okay, so what we have here is this patient has phoned Michelle's office and wants an appointment. I'm only going to play 30 seconds of this.
Hi, this is Lily from the Center for Ankle and Foot Care. How can I help you today?
Well, good morning. And I've seen Dr. McGowan before, so I guess I'm in your records there. But have a real problem on my left foot. I guess it's the big toe mostly. That's an ingrown kind of toenail, just the one toe. And, you know, it's bothering me a lot. I'm wondering if there's any way I can come in and have her take a look at that.
Got it, James. An ingrown toenail on your left big toe. That's definitely something we...
Okay, so I'm not going to play all that. It's 7 minutes long, but what actually happens in this conversation is the AI has a conversation, figures out, is this the right person for us, and then takes the details that they want. So is it the correct insurance? If it's not insurance, is it cash pay? What's your date of birth? All that kind of stuff. And then it goes ahead and books an appointment. And you can see here, new appointment has been created. So that was done. That's today, 1:10 p.m. I don't know if you're closed for lunch, your receptionist gets your lunch, but that happened today. And you can see that patient has no problem talking to the AI, and the AI sounds quite human-like. I'm just going to put my headphones back in. So, and patients are far more accepting of it than I almost expected it to be. We had in my clinic, very funny situation where a patient talked to the AI voice, and the AI voice said, and I'm in Ireland and we use an American accent because I'm like a builder's house, I'm too lazy to fix it. And AI voice felt it was best, I'm going to transfer you to my humans. I'm going to transfer you to the front desk. Transfer the front desk, and the front desk team came in and told me afterwards that he said, yeah, I was talking to that lovely girl, Lily, you have working for me. She said I should talk to you. And he booked in, and he spent €1,000. He had no idea it was AI voice, and he thought she was really nice because she's AI. She never goes to the toilet. She's never in a bad mood. She never takes a day off. She's always pleasant, no matter how unpleasant the patient is. So you can see how it works, and that it is working quite successfully. Okay, So what are the key points that I want to show, or that we need to talk about? So the key points are, number one is your strategy. You need to make sure that you've thought out before you start, what is the strategy that I want? So what I mean by that is, you might decide, I want AI to only answer the phone in the evenings, or I might want AI to answer the phone and book in patients, but anybody who wants to cancel or reschedule, I'll transfer to my human team. Or anybody who rings, and if you get a lot of, let's say you're cash pay only, anybody who's not cash pay, okay, and doesn't want to become cash pay, that it doesn't try and book and it doesn't transfer, and your front desk team is only handling people who are willing to book in. Or maybe what you're doing is you're using it to deal with people who are not patients, and that you're only transferring warm people who are ready to book to your front desk. So you got to think out your strategy first. The second thing you need to make sure you do is that you have your prompt done well. And that is the key part, because all the other bits, easy peasy, well, relatively easy peasy to do. You can figure all that out. The prompt is the real key. So you need to make sure that your prompt is done in a way that is comprehensive, that you've tested it comprehensively for any mistakes, and that you understand that it is not a set it and forget it, that you have to be able to go back and change it. So I would say at least once a week we go in and we edit prompts as necessary. Sometimes it's a big change, especially in the early stages, but then it becomes less and less and less as we figure out what works. You also need to make sure that you have your knowledge base done, that you cover every angle, that the AI has the ability to answer every question, that you've told it everything that it needs to know about your business. And then lastly, that your calendar is being done correctly. Now, this is probably the biggest thing, okay? So our experience with this is different here in Europe than it is in the US. So in Europe, most European companies or clinics tend to use 2 or 3 different systems. And those systems like Clinico, as I use in my clinic, or JaneApp, or Nucal, they're really good and they're really easy for us to connect to because their API, which I talked about earlier, is really good. It's really easy to work with. And you can set that system up, within days. That is not the case in the US, which I actually was really surprised with. The US clients tend to work, as far as I can see, mostly with AdvancedMD or Modbed, etc. And a lot of these systems are surprisingly clunky, are as if they're still in 2010 and their APIs are not good. They're not willing to share their APIs. AdvancedMD, it was like pulling teeth to get them to help us. Isn't that right, Michelle?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Terrible, yeah. And all I would hear from Johnny, our tech guy, is, this is a piece of shit. Why is she using this? That's literally what I would hear every day, because I'd be like, have you got it done? Have you got it done? Whereas my system, he'll have it set up in 24 hours. He's a month building at Michelle's AdvancedMD. Now he's fixed it today. Is it working? And he thinks he's a genius. But the key part here is that sometimes some of the system that you might be using might not actually be as good as it can be. And I think what's going to happen is the EHRs that are not AI friendly are going to disappear over the next few years, months to years, because clinic owners like you will go, well, why would I use you when I can use this one here and I can just have AI answer the phone, my agentic AI handle all these jobs. I don't have to have as many staff. I can run 24 hours a day and I can book in. And I think what's going to end up happening is other software systems that make it easier for you to integrate AI into your business will win out. And I know what it's like changing your calendar from one to another. So if I was to move Clinico to another one, for me, it would be a massive pain. So I get it, but I think what's going to end up happening is the benefits will certainly outweigh the disadvantages over time. So you do have an alternative, and the alternative is, and that's what we've kind of done with Michelle for, say, the last month while we were getting AdvancedMD to work, and that was we used a Google Calendar, and the Google Calendar was where Michelle was filling her diary. And that was easy enough to do. That didn't take a whole lot of work on our side to do. The third party, sometimes you'll have to use a third party software to connect them. So the third party software is Keragon. So Keragon, when we started to come across this, we thought, well, this is brilliant. This will make life an awful lot easier, because it basically sits between your AI voice and your EHR. But it's not as good as it tells us, because it's still very difficult to use. And also, it is quite expensive. It is an expensive thing to use, and that's why we have to charge a lot to use this, to deliver this for the US, because of the systems that they're doing. We have to charge significantly more when we do it for these systems versus, say, my system or JaneApp or whatever. But again, I think this is all going to change. Okay, so it's relatively easy to build each piece, but the hard part is connecting them all. Okay, and the secret sauce is the prompt. Your prompt is the secret sauce. So if you want to trial, okay, and have a go and look at what I'm talking about, don't go to Michelle's website, because she has to pay for every time you ring. So go instead to my one. Okay, so if you go on to my one, podiatryvoicereceptionist.com, you can either click here on this purple one, or you can scroll down. There's another one here. You can have a conversation with our AI demo. So what it does is it tells you that it'll do two things. One is that it will demo and pretend that it's a receptionist for a podiatry clinic. Now, it won't actually book your appointment, because it's not gonna see you. And then at the end of that, once you if you like it, it'll then have a conversation with you about our service. Now, I don't mind whether you ever become clients of ours. That's not the point of this. But have a conversation with it, test it, see can you break it, is my advice. And at the end of it, then it can book you in directly. Okay, if that's what you want to do. And if you want to ignore all that and go straight down the bottom, you can book in direct. Michelle asked me before, what is the cost of missed calls? And there is a calculator here you can put in, and you can see what's it going to cost you. So if you're missing, if you've £100, this is UK, £100 per patient call value, and you miss 2 a day, you're losing £52,000 a year. Okay, actually, yeah, let's just say 260 working days. So if you are interested, if you want any help from us, or you want any further questions, just go to that website, I fill it in, or you can DM me. I'm in the Facebook group that Michelle has, and I'm quite happy to just help you. I'm not here to try and sell you anything, really. Okay, any questions for me?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm so happy with it so far. I hope Johnny doesn't get mad at me, because I'm definitely looking at that JaneApp, because I would consider switching over, just because of that's priced well and has a lot of functionality as well.
Yeah, because we talked about this before anyone came on the call. The price was massive, wasn't it? The price differential.
Price differential is massive. Like I'm paying $1,800, I think, a month, or a little bit more than that, for AdvancedMD. And I actually met with ModMed yesterday morning, and I had a conference call with them. And that was still, it was like, if we wanted the deluxe version of everything they have, it was over $2,000 for 2 doctors. And then I looked
per
at
month.
per month. And then I looked at the JaneApp, and I was like, is this real? I added up everything. I have a call with them on Friday for Tim and I both to be like the Cadillac version of everything. It was like $300 a month total.
And did that include AI Scribe, which I haven't talked about?
Because they're implementing AI Scribe. They have all the functionality that we have, and they do the billing. That was including the billing piece. It was pretty robust for $300 a month. I talked to the ModMed people, and they just did not understand what I was talking about when I said the AI. I said, well, if somebody rings my office, can they book into, and the lady just didn't understand. She just kept talking about AI Scribe. I was like, okay, you don't know what I'm talking about. But So I don't know about the mod med. I was kind of interested, but then even that price point is pretty high, I felt.
Um, yeah, they should have had an AI voice to the call with you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Um, what, like, because you came to us and we had to almost build this so fast, more faster than we were ready to do. Okay,
Yeah.
because you were in a pickle.
Yeah, I
So
forgot about that because I forgot. I told you that we had somebody. I totally forgot. It was so traumatic because my one employee gave me 3 months notice because she was going to homeschool her kid. And then I walk into the office and one day in July, and my one employee looked at the other employee, started calling her names and got up and left. And I was like, oh my God. And we'd already been talking to you. So then we started the
well, we were
process.
already doing your marketing for you, and I had
Yeah.
said, listen, this is something we're working on.
Yeah.
But because the way we did it with you, because sooner than we were ready, we kind of had to almost build it on the fly. What would you feel your feedback would be on what to watch out for if somebody's gone off doing this themselves, especially in the early stages? What do you think? Oh, we should have done this a bit different.
Oh, it has to be well, it just has to be constant. Like, I mean, in the beginning, like you said, you have to be constantly monitoring it. You have to be on top of it. I do like your system where we can go in, there's the transcript, there's the little area where you can listen to it, you can see everything. It's programmed on the left-hand side, so all the patient's data is captured. But like I still, even now, even as we get more confident and comfortable with it, I still have my staff we have 2 young college kids and they sit here and they love it. They listen to the conferences, the conversations all day long, but they don't need to do that. But it's all about the checking until you're really confident to go, you know?
Yeah, and so like the tip I would give is having done it with you is don't launch it until you've tested it a lot. So we have clients who I've given it to and they haven't tested it properly, and I don't really want to launch it because I know it's not going to be right. And then I think also your team initially just thought it knew everything about your business straight away, then it knew
Oh,
everything.
oh yeah, no, for sure. Well, and I mean, my staff was a little bit like standoffish, as if Lily was a real person and as if like she was taking their job. And how I tried to explain to my staff is this is something that's going to make you more present with our patients that are here in the office, as opposed to stealing your job. They're taking all the shit off the table so that you can just focus on patients in the office. And they've got a lot more comfortable with that. But even they still are like, guess what Lily didn't do? I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, it's still a learning curve with my staff because the humans are also not as smart as they should be.
Yeah, and humans talking to patients ringing in because I haven't sat on the desk in a long time, and I listen back, same with my client, and I cannot believe how silly sometimes the patients can be, and how if that was me answering the phone, I'd lose patience, and AI doesn't do that.
Right. No, no, like she'll have Lily will have a long conversation with patients. We had some lady who was just off the rails talking about something else, and then Lily brought her back. She's like, "Oh, I can see you have a lot going on, but let's try and book this patient, this appointment." So it was actually very, very clever. We all listened to it. It was funny.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We're very
Somebody did
selective.
ask in the chat, they would like to know how realistic it would be to do with ModMed. And they were asking about the API for ModMed.
ModMed, I think, can be done. Yeah. No. Yeah. We like if we can, if we can do AdvancedMD, we could do anything. Let's put it that way. So yeah, what ModMed? Because I have a number of marketing clients who are using ModMed. So that's actually I said to Johnny today. I said right next week you're looking at ModMed. So I don't think ModMed will be an issue. If somebody is interested, they just should come on a call and let us know. And then what we'll do is we won't take any money or anything off them. We'll just go investigate the system. And then we come back to them and say, okay, we can do it. This is what it's going to cost. What would you like to do? And we go from there. It's still going to be significantly cheaper than any of the numbers you mentioned for ModMed, any of those kind of things, your receptionist per month, significantly cheaper.
Okay.
Gina asked, was it?
Yes.
Is that okay, Gina? Yeah. Yeah, ModMed should be fine.
What do you offer as far as like marketing?
What do we do marketing? So we kind of do we kind of can do anything. So I like to just kind of do two main products, Amanda, because what I like to do is, okay, so the first one I do is I do a website. We do an AI website. So we build a website that basically captures leads, because the research tells us if you have a website that's not a direct response marketing website, you're going to get between 2 and 4% of people will take action. And the action that we allow, that people, typically clinic owners allow, is ring me now or book an appointment. And they're only people who are ready to book appointments. So there's 96% of people who are looking at your site. They don't really know you, don't trust you, and so on. So what we do instead is we build a website that tries to capture some of them into our net who are not ready to book now, but they're willing to give us their contact details, maybe in exchange for a video or a lead magnet or a conversation. And then immediately what will happen is the AI SMS primarily, because people won't answer outgoing calls to cold calls, especially from an AI. They're just not going to answer it. Okay, I wouldn't. So we engage them with SMS, and then we saw the conversation, and then we get them to convert. And so that's one thing we do. That's a website we do, service we do. So it's like a Netflix website. And then the other one thing we do is we do absolutely everything. So when we do absolutely everything, we do paid ads, organic ads, SEO, website, everything. And essentially what we're trying to do is, when I set out doing this, I was like, okay, what do I want as a clinic owner? I don't want leads. I don't want clicks or impressions. What I want is patients sitting in my waiting room. That's what I want. So that's what we try. So we said, okay, what can we do to give you patients in the waiting room? So initially we did all the marketing, we did the Google ads, we made your phone ring, but then they didn't answer the bloody phone. So we were like, okay, well, let's see, can we do AI voice for them? And AI voice has only gotten good enough, I think, in the last, probably since June, that I would actually use it myself. And I won't use anything, I won't give anything to a client I wouldn't use in my own clinic. That's a long-winded answer.
I do want to add, I mean, I did my own website and I thought my website was amazing. It was like my baby. And I remember like, I would update it all the time. And I thought I was doing all the right things. I was doing my own Google AdWords, and my website wasn't costing me a whole lot, but I wasn't doing Google AdWords right. And now, like, working with you, like doing the blogs that are going out, the internal marketing, like I have patients come in and they're like, I got that email you sent me. And I'm like, looking at them like, what the hell are they talking about? And then they're like, yeah, you have that laser. I want to do that. And I'm like, oh my God, I I'd go back and look, because you email it to us, like the clients too. And I've just been it's one of the things I'm very happy about too. And I think there was one time I had my Google AdWords set up so badly, and Tim's like, why are people calling from Alabama to see us here? And I spent so much money on that. So it's just been, for me, really worth it, like super worth it.
So with the email that Michelle is talking about, what we have is we would, when a client, let's say Michelle became a client, we would have either interviewed her or sent out a form for her to fill in. I can't remember which we did at the time. And we would have built from that a prompt. And then we go and build a custom GPT. So custom GPT is a GPT that is only about one subject that you can build in ChatGPT. It's totally free. So we have one that's only about Michelle and Tim. I think it's only about you Michelle. I don't think Tim's in it. The power behind the throne, but we never see him. So, and then what will happen is the AI will use that custom GPT, and it knows everything about Michelle and writes the email every week, and it sends it out to the patient. And no patient wants to read an email from you. So what we do is we make the email entertaining. So the first half of the email is something entertaining that you've been doing. Then the next bit then is it segues into about the blog, and it encourages you to click and go back to the blog, because then the AI and so on is going to go, these guys have authority. So my own one, which I don't write, people stop me and go, oh, I love your emails. And it's like Michelle, I'm like, I haven't read them at all. Was one there last week about how I had smelly socks thrown around the house. Now I don't like, okay, but my little girl, who's actually called Lily, we called it bought after, had pulled me up on it and so on and so forth. And patients had pulled me aside afterwards on Monday and said, oh, I love the email that you wrote the other day. Da, 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 da. And it's about me. You know, it knows the name of my kids, it knows what I'm into, it knows where I go, all that kind of stuff, and it's written, and it's completely automatic. And what you're doing there essentially is you're engaging with your database, because your database of your patients is, and past patients, is your most important resource, and essentially you're keeping them warm. So that if you want to reactivate them, if you want them to come in for something, they're already used to reading your stuff, and then you can reactivate them. So we had a client last week, a coaching client of ours, and she got a new class 4 laser, and we gave her a 3-step email campaign to send out because she'd been doing this already, and she paid off 1/4 of the laser in 2 days just from an email to her database. So that's the power that you can do, and you can automate that then if you have AI.